Mic check one, two.
Yo, get out of here with them weak ass shoes, yo.
Balls deep. I'm talking about balls deep. I'm talking about balls deep in love. I'm talking about balls deep. I'm talking about balls deep. I'm talking about balls deep in love.
What's up, Balls Deep fam, to another episode of Balls Deep with Devin Jovan. This week, we're going to be talking about some more Champions League. Last week, we were joined by Nico. When I say we, I mean Jovan, because I wasn't there, to talk the first week of the first leg. Yeah, first week of the first leg of Champions League. This week is the second week of the first leg of Champions League, and we're joined by a different guest, which we'll get to in a few seconds. You might look at him like, damn, he's vacant. He might have been the guy Nico fought in his amateur fight, but it's not. But if you want to check out Nico's fight, he did win. So congrats to him. Shout out to Nico, and check out his highlights on our Instagram page. It should be posted by the time this episode drops.
Special shout out.
So
Special shout out,
special
Nico.
shout out to Nico.
Shout out to Nico.
Debut win.
Getting that W 1-0.
1-0.
Uh-huh.
But this is Balls Deep, where we dive into the hottest stories in sports. And if you're new to the program, I'm Devin. The guy to my, if you're watching this, the guy to my right, yeah, but in my reality, is to my left, is Jovan. And the guy under me is our special guest, Richard, a good friend of ours. He's also known as RJ Soze, or
Hello.
Rich, or Ski Mask, the Rich God, the way Jovan likes to call him, which is kind of why he's showing up looking like vacant. But to start off, we're gonna talk about the first game, which is Tuesday. First game on Tuesday, which is Lazio Bayern. I don't know much about these teams, but I know you guys do. So, what are you expecting in this matchup? And who do you guys have coming out on top?
I mean, so this fun fact, this is Lazio's only their second time ever in the knockout rounds of the Champions League. First time ever in UEFA competition against a German powerhouse, Bayern Munich. So this is a pretty big game. Bayern's currently on a 2-year unbeaten streak in Champions League with 16 wins and a draw since their last loss, which was against Liverpool back in 2018-2019's round of 16. So obviously they're on a really impressive run. But with that being said, Lazio is playing phenomenal football right now. They're playing phenomenal football. Obviously Bayern is kind of missing Muller, who is a great leader for that team. Immobile, who is on Lazio, scored 5 goals in the group stage. So, although, we got this German powerhouse against a team that's kind of doesn't really have the experience, this team is more than capable of, coming in there and pulling out something big. So with that being said, I'm going to go with the German Giants just because they have so much experience. They really have the roster to just up and down, to just compete with any team throughout the entire world. So I'm going to go with Bayern just because they've been consistent for years and years. They're always consistent. We talk about all these big clubs that are, powerhouses, and then they get to the, big European competitions and kind of struggle, and that's never really been Bayern Munich. So in my opinion, I think that I'm going to go Bayern in this one.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100% with Jovan. Bayern is like, you're an underdog every time you face Bayern.
Yeah.
Like, they're a force, regardless, bro. And Lazio, they're playing good. Recently, they got good form, but they're the underdog. And, that's literally, you're going up against the best. If not the best club in the world. So, anything can happen on any given day. And you could give them the benefit of the doubt, but Bayern, if you want a sure bet, I'm going with Bayern.
Yeah, it's tough too because especially when you got a team like Lazio who's in such good form, and you'd like to see them make maybe some noise because you seen a team like last year and Leon made a nice splash, and they beat Juve. And that was a surprise. So you like to see these kind of surprises, but again, it's like Juve, it's more expected. When they kind of weren't in the greatest form, but against Bayern, it's almost like kind of impossible to see it play out that way.
Yeah, but there's no pressure on Bayern ever.
Yeah, a lot of analysts are saying that Bayern is the team to beat in the Champions League, and I would, totally agree with you guys just from the basis that they're the more experienced team. Just because that's why they're the favorites. They in the bookies they have Bayern a 7-1 favorite to move on in the Champions League, and they have the odds of Lazio moving on are I think 9-2. So it's not looking too good.
They got nothing to lose.
Yeah, so. Lazio is the underdog. They're the team that you're going to be rooting for just because. Unless you're a Bayern fan, the underdog story is always something that you could get behind and root for.
Love to see it.
Yeah, so you love to see someone new win, and I think Lazio has a chance. I know Jovan said that they are looking good, and this is I believe you said the second time that they made
second time they've ever faced. First time they're ever gonna face in UEFA competition, meaning first time that they're ever facing the Champions League as well. So
yeah, so it's gonna be a hard task ahead of them, but they're more than capable of doing it. They got this far, so you can't doubt them one bit. But Bayern's just that giant.
Yeah, that German giant. Yeah,
they got the sauce.
They def do. Secret sauce.
Mm-hmm. And then the next game, which is the second game on Tuesday, is Atletico versus Chelsea. And I know, Richard, you are a huge Chelsea fan. So
I'm the Blues, man. I bleed blue. I'm London blue, man. Come on now.
I'm going to let you start off on this one. Who do you have in this matchup, and how do you see it panning out?
All right. I have a fan theory, and then I have a realistic theory, and I'm gonna play the realistic theory because I'm a realistic man, and I understand Chelsea. We going through some hard times, We lost Frank, God bless him. He's a legend. Regardless, we got Tuchel right now. Thomas Tuchel now he's unbeaten. So everyone's saying, he still has a run going, but the problem with it is he's not getting the energy from his team. From his perspective, he took off Hudson-Odoi on the 85th minute after only coming on during halftime. Everybody's like, you're killing his confidence. And I could see that. I feel that's a little disrespectful towards the player. He's a great player. However, I think Tuchel understands what this team is capable of. The problem with Chelsea is there's no lack of talent with this team. The only problem is the effort. He's not getting the effort from the team because everyone knew when Chelsea was starting the season, everyone was like, oh, well, this team's going to be spectacular. They spent £70 million on Kepa. Kepa's basically second tier now. Like, he's behind Mendy. We've got Kai, who's barely played. We've got Ziyech, who's barely played. Pulisic has been in and out of injury. Werner, his effort is immensible. He's going crazy with effort, but you don't get the goals, which is what they signed him for. But he's still trying. Pulisic, still trying. So, Atletico, they've been on a good run. So, the only two major losses I've seen them in their recent form is against Real Madrid, and I believe it was against Barcelona. And those are two powerhouse teams. Like, those are amazing teams. So, honestly, I'm seeing Atletico first game, they might have a goal lead. It might be tied. If it's good for Chelsea, it might be tied. But I don't see Chelsea pulling out the W just yet against Atletico, honestly.
I for one, appreciate the honesty. I was a little honest myself, talking about that PSG and Barca matchup last week, and I mean, for good reason. We saw what happened with the result there.
The only thing is, you didn't say it. You were hinting at it.
But we knew
you were hinting at it, but you didn't let those words leave your mouth.
You don't want to say it as a fan.
But with that being said, this game almost feels a little bit too hard to call for me. For the simple fact that they're like Richard said, there are almost a little bit too many unknowns for Chelsea, at least for me. I mean, I haven't been able to watch too many Chelsea games this season, but they are a very new team. Very new team. I mean, they just changed their coach in January, which is last month. So they just had a coaching change in January, and like Richard said, he doesn't feel like he's getting the same effort. And with Chelsea, it's another thing. They've never had a problem competing. But it's more so when they start to get to this European competition and start to get Champions League, they start to struggle with that consistency level. They had a 7-1 aggregate loss to Bayern Munich, the German powerhouse, last season in the round of 16. And right now they're on a 4 round of 16 eliminations in a row. So they can't really seem to get out of this, out of this spot in the Champions League. But with that being said, it makes it a hard game to call because even though Chelsea is such a new team, like Richard said, they are in good form because they haven't lost with this coach. Yet they're going up against, a great Atletico team that, has been in solid form all season and is on pace to win their first La Liga title since, the year 2013, 2014. So it's a little tough to call when you have kind of an unknown team and Chelsea and then an Atletico who's in good form but has kind of been not really convincing against competition outside of La Liga. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of another thing that's hard for me to be convinced about Atletico. So for me, I want to lean more towards Atletico just because I see a little bit more consistency over the history and when it comes to, Champions League play, because they've always fared well in European competition other than as of late. So I will go with Atletico just based off the fact of the consistency. They have a lot less unknowns currently. They're just a more put together team at this moment, with Chelsea kind of being a freshly rebuilt team.
So both of you guys seem to have Atletico in the first leg. Do either of you guys have Chelsea winning the second leg, or a leg at all?
I mean, it's tough to call. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Chelsea comes out and wins this because, like I said, they have a really good team. It's just the fact is we haven't really seen them play too much together in these big European competitions yet, especially against a team like Atletico. So that's what makes it tough. But I could definitely see them winning a leg, especially in their home game, in their home stadium. I could definitely see them taking a leg. I won't be surprised if they do end up advancing.
Interesting.
I think Thomas Tuchel gonna figure it out. Book it. Book it, man. We're going to the next round. You know what's gonna happen.
A lot of analysts are saying that Atletico they have the ability to play dirty, and they play dirty very often, and that could be what helps them get past Chelsea. Just because they don't think Chelsea can overcome the dirty play of Atletico. So
that's honestly that's very interesting, and I agree that it depends on the ref. Any given day, them refs, man, they change. So the
basically,
game.
They're just saying Chelsea is soft, and they can't deal with that. So
I agree. The only hard person we got is Giroud and Reece James. Reece James built he just gonna throw you on the ground, but everyone else is I don't know. They like little kids.
Hopefully he don't body slam anyone on their neck, because then he's gonna get kicked out, and you guys are gonna be in trouble.
See that, man? The blue, man.
But then we have the second day with 2 additional matchups, and the first one is Gladbach versus Man City. The favorite, I believe, in this matchup is Man City. So let's start with Jovan. How do you see this matchup panning out? Who do you have coming out on top in the first leg or even the second leg?
Yeah. I mean, okay, so just to kind of run this down a little bit quickly, or
take your time.
So not to take away from Gladbach at all. They've played really well this season, although, or should I say in European competition, because right now they're in 8th place in their table for Bundesliga. So That's basically out of the realm of possibility for them. But with that being said, they've played really well. Um, you know, in European play in this Champions League. And even though they haven't played all that well in Bundesliga, they have already beat Bayern and Dortmund in league play this year, recently. So they beat two, pretty big German powerhouses in recent games. But with that being said, they're going against a Man City team that has been to the knockout stages 8 straight times, probably in the best form of any team in this round of 16 because they're currently on a 23-game unbeaten streak in all competitions with 21 wins and 2 draws. So with that being said, I mean, you can't be in better form than that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and they're already such a phenomenal, talented team. So with that being said, I mean, Gladbach is a great team, or at least they've played like a great team. Thus far in European competition, and even having beat, like I said, Bayern and Dortmund recently. But in the round of 16 against a Man City team, I don't see them having a single chance against this Man City team.
Agreed, 100%.
And that, like I said, it's not to take away from them because they've played well. But not only is Champions League different than league play, but the round of 16 is different than the group stages. And Man City shows up year in and year out, and that's why they've been to 8 straight knockout stages, and that's why they are, consistently the favorite in the Champions League, for the last few years. So I think Gladbach has a fighting chance just because they are a good football club, but aside from that,
So no, Man City's on a different level this year.
Rough 2 legs, bro.
They're 10 points in the Premier League. They're 10 points above anybody. That's what, Liverpool. That's Manchester United, I believe. Those are like, when you think of Premier League, top 5, top 4, like they're clearing that. They're like, we're not worried about these dudes.
Not even close.
And they're confident. Their confidence is sky high right now. I don't see them faltering at all. I don't see it.
The way you guys are hyping up Man City, it seems like there's a stronger team at the moment than Bayern, who seems to be the favorite in Champions League.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, in my opinion, I think so. I think
Given the season, yeah, agreed.
definitely given the season. I mean, like I said, 23-game unbeaten streak. You can't really get much hotter than that. I think that's really what it is right now. They're not only are they good, but they're really hot.
They're on a historical run.
100%. And I think really the only thing I can see kind of getting to Man City throughout this competition is maybe fatigue. You know what I mean? Being in such good form for so long, you might get that game where you just don't play well. I mean, it happens. So that could be really the only thing I can see happening for a Man City meltdown is just fatigue. You come into the game, you just don't have it. You know what I mean?
But you mentioned the 23-game win streak. I was going to mention that the last 5 games they've went undefeated, but I guess they went undefeated a lot longer than just the last 5 games.
Well, let's think. 23 games unbeaten, 21 wins and 2 draws. And I believe when I was looking at it, they were not only unbeaten, but straight wins. I believe it was like 15 or 16. So
the reason why I mentioned the last 5 games though, is because Gladbach in the last 5 games, they have 1 win, 2 losses, and 2 draws. So they don't seem like they have the momentum going in to the Champions League first leg matchup, especially in comparison to someone like Man City, who's just been on fire. So
yeah,
I'm inclined to agree with you guys by default because it doesn't really seem like it's a question, but I don't want to doubt them and say that they don't have a chance because they do have a fighter's chance. It's almost like football, American football at that. You any given Sunday you can lose.
100%,
So any given
100%.
game or any given week or whatever the fuck you want to call it in soccer, you're more than likely to lose. So just Gladbach is gonna have to be in their bag, and they're gonna have to play the most perfect game or as close to perfect game as they possibly can to even have a chance to beat a team like Man City that's on fire at the moment. And Jovan, you mentioned the only way that they possibly could lose, their biggest threat is themselves. They can lose it themselves, whether they come out and don't play as good or they're just tired. So we shall see.
Oh,
I think if that side gets a draw, then they consider that a win. Honestly,
100%.
they should.
If they could get a draw in any one of these games, I mean, that's a step in the right direction.
Mhm.
Honestly, any team in this competition would have hated to draw a Man City, and that's just the honest truth. So Gladbach, I mean, if they could go in there and just honestly just give Man City a good two legs, I'd be impressed.
Mhm.
Well, moving on to the last matchup of the first leg this week is Atalanta versus Real Madrid. So we're gonna start with Richard because we started off with Jovan again for the first game. So for the second game, Richard, who do you have in this matchup? How you see it panning out? And go ahead.
I just want to pick Real. You see, I haven't really been paying attention to the side. I feel like I haven't heard Real's name like been given off usually in the press as much as I have. I haven't really been paying attention to Atalanta this season. I can't give a good guess, but there's something I don't know. Just Real is just like it's Real Madrid. Like they're probably gonna win. Now I can't give you any analytical, but this is just like a guts thing. I can't give you any.
Wait,
solid
so
info.
my question to you, so you don't think so? Atlanta had a really good run last year in the Champions League. So you don't think they can recreate what they had going on last year?
They probably can, but against a side like Real Madrid, I mean, Real have expectations on their shoulder every game. They're expected to win every game. Now they don't win every game, but it's Real. The fans go crazy. The players understand the jersey that they're wearing. They know that they have to bring it. And Real, it's either you win or you're out. There is no choice. You have to win for that
And
side.
Jovan, before you go, I just want to say that both of these teams are on a win streak. So Atlanta is on a 3-game win streak. Last 5 games, the first 2 games of that 5-game run, they had 2 draws, and then they've won 3 straight coming in. Whereas Real Madrid, they lost their first game of the last 5 and won 4 straight. So they're both hot at the moment, and with the experience that Atlanta had last year, I'm inclined to say that they might come out with the upset this year, being that they have the experience under their belt, and they seem to be hot at the right time. This seems like it's going to be a really good matchup. They might split the legs, like one of these teams might win the first leg, and the other team might win the second leg, but both of these games I'm assuming are going to be super competitive, but I might go with the underdog. And like you said, Real Madrid seems to be a powerhouse. They have expectations every single game. So in this case, I'm gonna ride with the underdog.
True.
So
It's true. I mean, Atalanta, they got nothing to lose.
exactly.
Yeah, no, I mean, so to speak a little bit on it, because I mean, this literally it goes hand in hand with what you guys are speaking about right now. So fun fact is these two clubs currently have 53 appearances in Europe's biggest competitions, with Real Madrid having 51 of those compared to Atlanta's only 2. So this matchup almost feels like a Juve and Lyon, how I previously mentioned in this episode last year. You know, Lyon was a really good young team that was surging. And it's the same right now with Atlanta. Everybody's calling them the young pretenders. So we don't really know how real they are yet or not, but this does seem like the perfect upset alert matchup, if you will. But with that being said, even with, Real Madrid's recent struggles in the Champions League, because they haven't been able to, really do much after having won a few years ago. They haven't really done much outside of that. In the Champions League, they've kind of struggled in Champions League. Obviously, we know they're on a 4-game win streak currently. But over the last few seasons, the last 2 seasons, they were eliminated in round 16, 2 years in a row. So they are kind of struggling, but it's kind of in the same sense in which Nico said last week that Barca was struggling. Some of Real and Barca and all these top clubs' worst seasons are by no means bad seasons. It's just a standard that they're held to.
Mm.
So with that being said, I do think this is a perfect upset alert matchup. But to kind of touch on what I said about those, 51 compared to 2 appearances in these big competitions, I think that's what's going to really push Real Madrid ahead of Atlanta. It's just that experience, you know what I mean? I think that experience of, consistently being there year in and year out, obviously they have plenty of guys on the field who can, retire today and coach tomorrow. I mean, they're one of the, greatest historical clubs in the history of soccer. So even when they're struggling like they are right now, that's really the only reason you're going to give a team like Atlanta the chance to beat them is because they haven't been consistent. But otherwise, just the skill level and, the experience alone, I have to go Real Madrid. I do think it will be close, but I think Real Madrid is just going to come out with it.
I don't think you could go wrong with going with either team. I mean,
no, not at all.
Real Madrid.
It's gonna be a good
Real
watch.
Madrid is the favorite. There's no question about it. So more than not, people are gonna ride with them because they're a historical club.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, Atalanta has echoing what Richard said. They have nothing to lose. They have nothing to lose and everything to prove. It does because they can go in and lose and be like, hey, we played Real Madrid. But if they win, you know how much confidence that's going to give them moving into the second leg or moving on? That the experience last year with their run in the Champions League built so much confidence in this club that coming into this year, that's the reason why they're here in the first place. I think they might be a better club than they were last year because of that experience that they got and because of the confidence that they built through that experience. So if they were able to do that last year, who says they can't go in and beat a club or a powerhouse as big as Real Madrid? Whereas Real Madrid, they have everything to lose, and that's because the expectations that Richard says rides on their shoulders at all times. So if they get behind in the game early, the pressure's already on. Like pressure's on them already going into the game.
Oh yeah.
If they go down early, it's gonna be a long game for them. I best believe that because not only will the fans be riding them, but their coach is gonna be on their ass because there's no way in hell he wants to lose to this, like you said, this up and coming team with the 51-2 record or history that they have. Like there's no reason that Real Madrid should lose this matchup, but getting behind early, it might screw them and put pressure on that they can't handle.
Truth.
No, definitely, and again, that's why I think this might be the biggest upset alert matchup on the entire round of 16, is because Real Madrid, as historical club as they are, they've struggled when it comes to European competition as of late. They do fine in La Liga, and that's to be expected. I mean, unlike the Premier League, there isn't 5 to 7 teams every season that's going to be competing for a championship. It's more like the top 3 or 4. So it's a lot different in La Liga than it is Premier League. So that's why for me, this is gonna be a close one. But I definitely think that if Atlanta can come out and keep Real Madrid off the board and even secure a draw in the first leg, I think it'd be huge for them, huge for their confidence, like you said. And I think if they're able to secure a draw or even a small 1-0 win by chance in the first leg, I definitely could see them, going on to secure the second leg and moving on. I have no doubt about that.
I'm gonna mark my calendar. I feel like it's gonna be a good watch.
It's gonna be a banger. And I watched the episode with you and Nico, and now that I've looked over the games and how it panned out. I'll just drop the scores of what happened last week in the first leg. PSG beat Barcelona 4-1. Both you and Nico both picked PSG to win. I mean, you hinted at it. You didn't really say it, but you didn't expect Barcelona to go in there and win. But I didn't expect them to lose that bad either. And that was a tough game for me to even pay attention to because I like both teams. And the first team so I'm not huge into soccer, but the first team I liked was Barcelona. Why? Because the few players that I did know were Messi and Neymar. And Messi. That's what attracted me to Barcelona. And then now that Neymar left and he went to PSG, I learned about Mbappe, and now he's playing with Neymar. So I love both teams, and it was tough for me to see one lose.
Yeah.
But especially at the fact the way they lost, and it was just clear and obvious.
I mean, hey,
heartbreak.
We said it last week, man. It's gonna be a tough one for Barcelona if they couldn't keep PSG off the scoreboard. Because, like I said, Mbappe is capable of putting up, any amount of goals he wants on a lot of defenses. And Barcelona's defense right now is a shell of what it's been for decades.
He had a hat trick. So
exactly.
That says
what more could you ask for?
And then the next matchup was Liverpool Leipzig. Liverpool came out on top 2-0, and I think there were doubts that they can continue what was going on. Or there was doubts from I believe Nico, because I think he said every time he picked Liverpool, they lost. So that was interesting. I don't know if he picked them. I can't remember, but they won, so he probably didn't pick them.
What? Actually, I think he was talking about Dortmund. I think he did pick Liverpool because he was saying Dortmund.
Dortmund.
Yeah.
But speaking of Dortmund, they won their matchup 3-2 against Sevilla, and then Juventus lost their matchup against Porto 2-1. So all those matchups were pretty close outside of the PSG Barcelona game, which was heartbreaking for Jovan and I.
We need a Barcelona level meltdown from PSG now.
So hopefully this week's matchups can live up to the first week's matchups, because they were some bangers. But out of all those matchups, I think the Atletico Real Madrid matchup is going to be the best one of them all. It might not be as high scoring as some of them, but it's going to be a dogfight.
Atalanta.
Yeah, Atlanta and Real Madrid.
It's gonna be amazing.
That's gonna be a good one.
Wait, did I say the wrong team?
You said
my bad.
Real Madrid.
Yeah.
It's okay. European. A lot of those Spanish.
Well,
they all.
The Atalanta Real Madrid is going to be a banger. So that's going to be the best matchup. Although I'll be paying close attention to the PSG Barcelona game just because I like both teams. And
I'm excited for the Atletico Chelsea game, man. I'm gonna be real with you. I'm a little bit more invested because I got a couple friends, Richard being one of them, that are Chelsea fans.
Shout out ID.
Atletico always comes to play. When it comes to European competition, especially Champions League, and they tend to surprise. So I think that's gonna be also a really good matchup.
Word. Wait, what? No. Yeah. So that that wraps up everything we had for you guys today. First and foremost, I want to thank you guys for tuning in, especially if you guys stay tuned this long. I appreciate you. Jovan appreciates you. The whole Balls Deep crew appreciates you. Also, thank you to Richard, aka RJ Soze, and Ski Master Rich God for joining us. We appreciate you for taking the time out of your day to join us and give your point of view on some Champions League matches.
Thanks for the invite. I appreciate it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Always appreciate it,
so
bro.
hopefully you can join us again down the road. Maybe we're gonna talk more Champions League in the future, in the near future at that. So,
I believe blue, man.
Maybe we get a nice special for a Champions League final.
Maybe we can have you on with Nico, not just one or the other. Maybe we can get both of you guys on to talk some content, since we already had Nico for the first week and you for the second week.
For that Chelsea Barca final, you know what I mean?
So we'll definitely be talking about Champions League in the near future. Hopefully we can have Nico and Richard. If not, we'll have Nico or Richard, or maybe we have another special guest to join us to talk about some Champions League. Stay tuned. But secondly, make sure to give us some reviews and comments. Like, follow, and subscribe if you haven't already.
Support the boys.
Hit the notification bell. if you're watching it on YouTube, just so you know when we drop some content, because YouTube doesn't always notify you, just if you're subscribed. So stay tuned, and then hit the download button if you're paying attention, or you're tuning in via Apple Podcasts or Spotify. That helps us out. And then make sure to check out and show love to our guys at the Expansion Pack Podcast. Gaming news. If you're into gaming, it's the podcast for you. And check out our guy Harv. His soundtrack Nutcase is a banger. Richard, I don't know if you checked it out, but you should check it out too.
Put it on my list.
Richard, this is your time, Mr. RJ Soze.
Listen, I'm just a guy with a ski mask. These are my two boys. I love them. I've known them since middle school. Thank you for letting me be on here. Just Google RJ Soze on Google. That's it. I'm here. Swag, baby.
Hey.
Check him out. He's got some music out on SoundCloud. So for the fans, if you're interested, go show some love. He's got some bangers out there. And he's had some collabs with some friends of ours, including someone on the set. I'm not gonna name names, but it ain't me. It ain't me.
Hot fire. Hey, Devin.
Your boy spit that hot fire. You know
Devin,
what I mean?
We don't need you on the mic in the near future.
I'm not gonna be able to finish a sentence, let alone a verse.
Add something, man. You gonna need to give me something, man.
But go show some love. It's all fun and games, but in the end he's passionate about his music. So
yeah,
go show some
We'll definitely
support.
be linking his shit in the bio and the descriptions as well. So
thanks for the love.
Yeah.
All love, baby. All love always.
Maybe next time he's on, he'll actually show his face, so he's not in
This is
the
my.
All right, Vacant. Well, we're out of here.
Redacted.
Stay tuned for more content. We're going to have another episode dropping on Thursday, so make sure to tune in then. And go check out Nico's highlights on our Instagram
Balls
page.
deep, baby.
Yep, exactly. So, until next time, peace.
Peace.
You're talking about balls deep. I'm talking about balls deep. We're talking about balls deep in love. I'm talking about balls deep. My boy's talking about balls deep. We're talking about balls deep in love.